What is up, Cougar Central? Welcome back to another episode. We are excited to be with you and to get to the latest of BYU sports news. We got a lot to talk about today. A couple days ago, the CFP bracket predictions were released and the initial poll. We're excited to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Texas Tech game coming up this week. Some big stuff going on there. And we're going to talk a little bit about BYU versus Villanova basketball just a couple days ago. This is Cougar Central. Welcome back. Connor, start us out here talking about the college football playoff bracket and rankings.
Yeah, so the college football playoff came out yesterday, and BYU got slotted in at number 7, which I think is pretty good.
God bless.
So BYU's number 7, Texas Tech is number 8, and then you got Utah down at number 13. I'm not a Utah fan, but hey, at least the Big 12 is getting respect, so I'm good with it. But yeah, I thought BYU was going to be a little bit lower because of the AP poll. They're at 8. Usually they don't get respect from the College Football Playoff Committee, but they're clearly valuing the Big 12 this year, which is really good news for BYU and Texas Tech and Utah. All 3 teams are now in contention for a potential playoff spot. But as usual, the CFP committee is favoring the SEC. They have 9 teams in, and then right below that, it's the Big 10 with 10 teams in, and then the ACC has 5 teams, and the Big 12 has 3. But the thing that matters with the CFP poll is that only 12 teams get in. So you're going to have an automatic bid from each conference. That takes up 4 spots, and then it's basically, and there's a group of 5. So 5 spots go to automatic bids, and then you're going to have just the highest ranked teams after that.
For sure. And it's also important to realize, too, right? You have the ACC has more teams in the poll overall, but they are all ranked below the Big 12 teams. We got Utah at number 13, and Virginia is the highest-ranked ACC team at 14. So already the Big 12 is making a big statement, and CFP is making a big statement about the Big 12 football.
Yeah, basically the ACC is going to get 1 bid, which is just the automatic bid, and no one else is going to get in, while the Big 12 is on track to have 2 teams at least in. So that's one of the big things. It's that right now the CFP committee is putting the Big 12 over the ACC, and I think that is a good decision. I mean, the ACC looks super weak this year, and they now have, is it just Virginia that's undefeated? No, Virginia still has a loss. All of them have a loss. So, I mean, they're in the spots they should be, honestly. They shouldn't be getting more than 1 team in. But what's going to be a big part of the discussion is BYU and Texas Tech, especially this game on Saturday, because that's going to determine who can move up and who's going to take the Big 12 in that spot and who could potentially drop out. If one team starts dropping games, it's the Big 12 is only going to be a 1-bid league. So it's really going to fluctuate on how both of these teams do down the stretch.
For sure. I think there's so much that rides on this Texas Tech game this week, right? When we look at BYU, the rivalry is clear. It is BYU versus Utah, holy war, right? That's undisputed. But if we're looking overall at the strength of these teams, Texas Tech in football and in basketball are 2 very powerful programs at the top of the Big 12 right now. And I mean, this game this week is going to say a lot about that. But I think it's also important to remember, we're going to go a little bit different direction here. BYU is really a lot better than we think they are even. There was a recent story by ESPN. Connor, you want to walk us through it a little bit?
Yeah, so after the CFP rankings came out, I was pretty satisfied with their ranking at number 7. Mm-hmm. And then ESPN drops this article. I'm like, all right, let's look at it. And it's the article of which fans should be the most outraged at these new rankings. And so I scroll down, BYU's number 1. And I'm like, okay, I was pretty satisfied with number 7, so why are they number 1? And basically it gives 2 teams. It says, let's look at these 2 teams blindly. One of them is Team A and one of them is Team B. And I'm going to read you the stats of both of these teams. So Team A has the number 3 strength of record. The 33rd strength of schedule, they are 4-0 versus top 40 teams, and their best win is against the number 11 team in the nation. Now, Team B is number 4 in strength of record, so just one below Team A. They are 45th in strength of schedule, so a little bit below Team A again. 3-0 versus top 40 teams, one less win, still undefeated against top 40 teams, and their best win is against the number 13 team in the nation. So you look at these two teams, they're pretty similar. Both of them are super good, but the only difference is that Team A has a bye in the first round of the playoffs right now in this bracket. So you're thinking, oh, Team B is going to have that too, because Team B's almost the same team essentially. And that's not true, because Team A is number 1 Ohio State, and Team B is BYU, who currently is number 7 and does not get a bye in the first round of the playoffs. But putting these two stats together, Ohio State and BYU, kind of puts it in perspective that, hey, BYU is a lot better than we're giving them credit for, and they just don't lose games. They're still undefeated. They're one of 4 teams in college football that are still undefeated.
Yeah, for sure. I think as Cougar fans, I think we should be excited about where BYU sits right now. It's a good spot. Do not get me wrong. But, reading that and looking at those statistics, it makes you realize really quickly that there's a lot more potential than I think we even give ourselves credit for as a fan base at looking at our team, which is just wonderful. But I do like where BYU is sitting at right now in the bracket, because right now they have them playing against Notre Dame before going on to Indiana. Now, Indiana is a great team. I'm not sure what that looks like when it plays out, right? If the playoffs, of course, happen today, things are going to change. The season's going to progress. But I like that. Playing Notre Dame, I think that's a great, and I think it'd be an easy win for BYU to take down. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hoping we get something like that, right? If we get one of those ACC teams ranked just a little bit higher, and that's the matchup for week 1, that is going to be so good for BYU. But, honestly, we could even see them bumping up here in the polls in a little bit, and they could be getting that first round bye. Mm-hmm. But so we won't make any assumptions, but, let's keep our hopes up. We're excited to see what happens next. But a lot of that is going to depend on the game this week as we're looking up against Texas Tech. Now, as far as the odds go, Texas Tech is the favorite from everybody else. We're looking at a 60.9% chance to win is what ESPN puts it at for Texas Tech to win, and BYU at a 39.1% chance. That's not bad, but BYU's been sitting about 50-50 throughout the season. But it's definitely, they're making a statement that Texas Tech is going to take them down. But if you look at the stats, that's not really the same message.
Yeah. And another thing I want to point out, too, is the betting odds. These betting odds usually tell the story of how people think this game is going to play out. And Texas Tech, as of now, it could change before the game, but they are a 10.5-point favorite over BYU. So basically, they're saying, all right, Texas Tech is going to have a touchdown, probably 2 touchdowns. They win by 2 touchdowns. They're saying they win by 10 or more. So honestly, I don't think it's going to be that close, because BYU has played close games all year and they've won all of those games. But then you're also looking at both of these teams, and I don't think they're too different. Because we look at the quarterback comparison, we have Morton versus Bachmeier. I personally think that Bachmeier has a slight advantage because he's more of a dual threat. He can run it anytime he wants, and he's built like a running back. And he showed last week against Iowa State that he can throw the ball just as well as Morton.
Yeah.
And then Morton can get a little turnover prone if he's forced to pass the ball. Mm-hmm. Texas Tech likes to run the ball. BYU likes to run the ball. But we saw what happened last week when BYU had to throw the ball. We've seen what happens with Texas Tech when they have to throw the ball, and that's when some turnovers start to happen. So that's going to be a huge thing for BYU's defense. They're going to have to force Texas Tech to throw the ball instead of just having them run it down their throats.
For sure. And I say, the biggest thing that's going to be really beneficial is we do have LJ Martin coming back this week. That's been confirmed by Coach Satake. That is a big part of this BYU offense. It's not everything like we saw last week. With him going out in that first quarter, they were able to manage because we have a great receiving core over at BYU. But having LJ Martin on that team is such a huge benefit, and I'm excited to see where it goes here, especially because, they're matching up really, really evenly. At first, I was actually concerned about this Texas Tech receiving core. That was a big concern of mine because they looked really good. And, of course, this last weekend they played Kansas State, and they beat them 43-20. But it's interesting, if you look at how they did it, they were splitting the catches. Kansas State was able to force them to split it. Instead, it's usually Caleb Douglas and Coy Eakin. Coy Eakin had one reception, where he's usually sitting around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I like that because BYU has a great defense. We have some elite linebackers sitting on that line. And so if we can split the carries of Texas Tech between multiple players, we can get them to throw the ball. That opens the way up for our defense in so many ways. And I think they're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But that's what they have to do.
Mm-hmm. And so LJ Martin, like Parker said, is expected to play. Jack Kelly is also expected to play. He's one of the anchors of their defense. It's him and Isaiah Glasker. So that's a huge bump up for their defense. And also, BYU just had their bye week. They're coming off. They aren't going to be 100%. They were pretty banged up against Iowa State. Texas Tech isn't 100% either. But both of these teams are probably as healthy as they're going to be the rest of the season playing each other. So both aren't at 100%, but it's going to be a good game. It looks like most of the star players for both teams are going to be playing. So you're going to get a real look at what could be the Big 12 championship game. So it's going to be really interesting because it could be two playoff teams right here. Also, Big 12 championship game. We could see these teams multiple times a year, not just this game. And that's also why College Game Day is coming to Lubbock, Texas.
Think about that, right? At the Red Raiders, BYU, we've had Big Noon come to BYU, right? We had recently College Game Day just got done with Utah this previous week, and now they're coming down to Lubbock, Texas with the Red Raiders, where BYU will be playing. Number one, we're showing a lot of love for the Big 12 this season. I like it. Number two, BYU is in the limelight in a lot of these presentations, as they deserve to be. They are a great team, and they're showing that, and I think they're picking up on that. There's a lot of steam coming behind the Cougars right now, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Those Texas Tech fans better get those tortillas ready with the tailgate because it's an early game, 10 a.m. College Game Day is going to be there. It's going to be a crazy environment. I think Behr Bachmeier will be able to handle it. He's gone against some crazy environments earlier this year, but this is going to be the biggest game of the year potentially, especially for the Big 12. And it's one of the biggest games BYU has had in this last decade, along with Texas Tech. It has major playoff implications. And that's also why it is the most expensive game to get a ticket for. Tickets are going around $500 for the cheapest one. So whoever's there is going to have a treat.
For sure. And I hope that they realize that Cougars like to eat tortillas, and they love even more Red Raiders. So we're excited to see that. Now we're going to go ahead and switch on over and talk about BYU's season opener against Villanova basketball that we saw. We're looking at AJ Dybantsa's season debut. We're looking at this team starting to gel together. Connor, what did you notice?
So the first half went pretty much how I expected it to go and how I wanted it to go. BYU was scoring the ball well. They were playing defense pretty well. They had a comfortable lead. They went into halftime with a 10-point lead over Villanova, and everything was going well. Cato was playing well. A.J. Dybantsa was playing well. Everyone was pretty much playing well. And then the second half started. I was still not worried at all until we got to the 7 to 5 minute mark, and Villanova cuts it down to 3. Then they tie. Then they take the lead. I'm like, all right, guys, what are we doing? So that's when you had to see BYU. BYU wasn't scoring, so someone was going to have to step up. And so first, A.J. Dybantsa, he started to step it up scoring-wise. He started just taking the ball in his own hands, basically, and scoring and getting BYU some points. So they were able to get back against Villanova. But then on the defensive side, Dybantsa was an absolute beast. He was blocking shots everywhere. He was energizing the team, throwing it down on people's heads. So Dybantsa was like, he was like the electricity for this team. When BYU started to go flat, he was like, all right, guys, let's get going. Let's win this game.
He is definitely, or he was, the game MVP. Because, right, Dybantsa is just a great player overall. We saw that last year so clearly. What we get to see even more is that second half of the game, where when it mattered most, he got, I don't want to say violent, but he gets up in people's faces and he gets stuff done. And that's important. He's swatting that ball. He's getting up on people and he's making shots. He's throwing down dunks. That's what we need. And I love seeing that Dybantsa come out. It's funny, even looking at the post-game interview for Dybantsa, he went ahead and talked about it. He said, I've never played with a guy like Kada. I'm excited to see where this chemistry goes. I think that leads us to realize that this team is starting to gel together. They looked like a cohesive unit on the court. I think from last year, this defense is already a step up in so many levels. And I just want to take a moment right here and offer an official apology to Kennard Davis Jr. Dear Kennard Davis Jr., on last week's episode of the podcast, I expressed some concern about you. I was not greatly impressed with your preseason shenanigans, and I felt a little disappointed, and I wondered if you were really all that. Mr. Davis, you have proved that you are all that, and we need you. Sitting down as a guard on the key and throwing up 2 beautiful 3-point shots when it mattered most and put an emphasis on that defense of the other team. I am excited to see where you go this season, and I'm excited to see what you do with this BYU offense and defense. Thank you so much. Sincerely, your friend at Cougar Central, Parker Glenn.
Yeah, like Kennard Davis had 6 points, but those 6 points mattered. BYU only won by 5. So, I mean, he did stuff. And Richie Saunders was sick. Absolute dog. Still scored 15 points.
Yeah, not just sick, like cool sick. He was puking in the morning before this game and still shows up. He looked paler than he already does. And that kid is white as heck, man.
So it's still good to see that from Richie. You know, if I was puking, I would not be throwing up 15 points, but he still did. Then you also got Robert Wright with 14. He worked a little more in the ISO than scoring in the way that Richie does or the way that AJ can. AJ can do both. But Robert Wright showed that he is very good at ISO ball.
He belongs.
Yeah.
He belongs on this team. And that's one thing I do love about AJ Dybantsa as well. Because you watch him out there, he's not hogging the ball. He is a team player, and I love that about him. He can open up his own shots. He can sit on the top of the 3. He can pass it around to the right guys at the right time. He can make free throws, although the first couple ones concern me. I'm not going to lie, because he missed a couple there. But he showed really clearly he's a team player, and he can get points in so many different ways. Doesn't matter how he gets them. He ended the night with 21, which is great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. He is going to get points for the team wherever he can find them, and that's going to be so crucial as we move on with the season.
Yeah, I'd say work on your free throws, but I can't really talk. I'm not really a 6'9" basketball player that's going to be a number 1 pick in the NBA draft.
Say I'm sitting at a probably solid 10% on my free throws.
So AJ, just do what you do, man.
Do what you do.
One thing that we both noticed is that BYU didn't shoot as many threes as last season.
Mm-hmm.
Like they improved a ton on defense, way better than last year, but their 3-point volume was not the same. The starters were shooting threes. Richie shot a couple, Kennard Davis, AJ shot 1, but then the bench, there was 1 3 out of the whole bench, and 7 points came from the bench, and 5 of them were Dawson Baker, 2 of them were Boscovich, and that is not good because BYU was a super deep team last year where their bench scored almost as much as the starters. So that's going to be a big thing to look at too with Kevin Young. Kevin Young's going to find out the rotation. He did it last year around mid-season. They started absolutely balling out once he did that. So I'm confident he's going to do the same thing. He's going to find the right rotation where people are gelling together and they're able to score points and not blow a lead like they started to do against Villanova.
Because, Mike, already this Villanova team was better than we thought it was going to be. I mean, like, there were some demonic stuff out there, man. They were doing pretty good. And I like that for an opening game, right? Let's say BYU came in there, Villanova wasn't that good of a team, and they absolutely destroyed them. Great, right? We love that. We love those big wins. But having a little bit of conflict in there, I think forced this team to shine, and also it showed that weakness on the bench. I'm not saying we have bad players on the bench. I don't think that's it. We saw them perform very well last year. Boscovich was really great on the bench. Mm-hmm. Dawson Baker was great off the bench. These are good guys. But it's going to give them an opportunity to see where we can improve. And I'm excited to see what Kevin Young does here in the next couple of weeks when he figures that rotation out.
Yeah. So, and this game got pretty chippy at times, which I also kind of enjoyed because the Big 12 gets chippy. Like, we saw it with Yegor Demon last year. It was hard for him to bring the ball down the court because people were body checking him. So the more this team plays top teams, the more they're going to be ready for Big 12 play and then NCAA tournament play. Because they're going to the NCAA tournament. If they don't, I guess I curse this team. But I'm already calling it right now.
Knock on wood.
I'm super confident that they're going to the NCAA tournament. So, yeah, they played a good Villanova team. They performed okay. I wanted to see an 8+ point game, but they won by 6. They won by 5. A win is a win. You just want to see more from the bench players and more 3-point shooting from them too, because only Dawson Baker made a 3 from the bench, and I love you, Dawson Baker. You are my favorite.
If anybody knows where to find a Dawson Baker jersey, then please let us know. Connor would like one.
Dawson, hit us up on Instagram, Cougar Central Commentary. Come get me a jersey, bro.
you got a great fan over here. And, we love this team, and we're excited to see what they do the next couple games here, right? We had Villanova. Next, they're going to be playing Holy Cross, and then Delaware. 2 very easy games. And I think this is going to be a great opportunity for them to figure some things out, because after they do those 2 games, you're looking at a number 4 ranked UConn team. The Huskies, they don't mess around. Mm-hmm. They are a well-known, well-established program. Everybody knows that and recognizes that very clearly. And so I'm excited to have BYU take some time, reevaluate, and then open up in a very dominant fashion against UConn. Yeah. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, UConn's crazy. So that's going to be a real test. They got Dan Hurley. That guy's a psycho. Probably, I think, the best coach in all of college basketball. They won 2 national championships back-to-back a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
They are a phenomenal team that's always good, and BYU is going to have a huge test after 2 teams that they're absolutely going to destroy. It's really going to show, because I don't think we saw the whole picture of BYU basketball against Villanova.
Yes, agreed.
Against UConn, it's really going to expose if their bench figured out stuff, if their starters now know how to play in clutch time. It's going to show all of their weaknesses, because UConn's just going to attack that. UConn's one of the best teams in the nation.
Yeah.
That's why they're ranked number 4.
For sure. And Kevin Young we trust. Ladies and gentlemen. So we are excited to see some action this upcoming week. Big games for BYU. Some great things coming up. We're excited to see where the postseason goes in the next couple of weeks. Just some wonderful things. We wanted to thank you all, our Cougar Central commentary fans. This past week as we opened up the podcast, we just saw an outpouring of love and support from each and every one of you. Thank you for that, and we hope you continue to support us in any way you can. If you have feedback, let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. Hit us up on Instagram or whatever. We love to develop communication and love to develop connections, because we are a community.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, yeah, thanks for all the support you guys have shown. Send us questions if you have any questions. We'd love to answer those and just get a whole community of Cougars rolling, however that sounds. But
that's what I'm saying. Let's go Cougars.